bring us to item number 11, which is our superintendent's report. I'll turn it over to Dr. Melton.
Thank you, Mr. Gant. Board members, community, we are delighted to be here this evening, and tonight I have the opportunity to give just a few highlights. Within the last week, we have signed athletes to play in college. Within the last week, we've received nearly $107,000 for a South Carolina Community Block Grant for Education Pilot Program here for School District 5. Within the last week and a half or so, we have hosted a recruitment fair that Dr. Jakes will give us an update on. And also within the last week, we've had a choice process we're ready to offer an update on. The last thing I'd like to say within the last week, Ms. Hutchison and I both have eaten collards at our annual chopped competition. And I'm not a collards fan, but I ate them, and they were delicious because our students made them. So what a tremendous event Chopped was at the center last Tuesday, and our students from 5th grade at the intermediate schools, of all intermediate schools and middle schools, were just quite competitive. And we were fortunate to announce that Chapin Middle School was the winner, but boy, it was a close competition. Ms. Hutchison and I were 2 of the 4 judges, and it was a difficult decision to make. But tonight I had the pleasure to introduce Dr. Jakes to give our first report for the evening of our #TeachN5 report. Dr. Jakes.
Thank you, Dr. Melton. You can see we are building on our superhero theme. We have so much to celebrate in District 5. We had the opportunity to highlight our beautiful facilities at Irmo High School for our 2019 teacher recruitment event. We were so thrilled to fill the halls, to fill the auditorium with excited members of our District 5 family, and to welcome those interested in joining our ranks. As our participants entered, they were greeted by our secret weapons, otherwise known as our student superheroes. We have a leadership team of teachers for #TeachN5. Not only do we have a very active Twitter presence where our very own teachers talk about what fills their hearts with joy as they teach in 5, but we have them participate with us to tell us how to reach out to that next generation of teachers, what to promote and how to highlight those events. So they said, Dr. Jakes, we've got to highlight what's great. We've got to highlight our family, those that we work with, and we've got to highlight our kids. So our kids had an active presence in this event. So our students in their superhero capes that actually said on the back, "Will you be my superhero?" greeted them and handed them what you see on the screen in front of you. A message from Dr. Melton, who has pride in 5, and a message from me, who wants to encourage people to join our family and teach in 5. So we have a map, and you can see that Main Street here at Irmo High School was filled with our 23 schools, along with special services, an administrative table, our center, and our Academy for Success. We had great results. We had people register electronically, and if they completed the application, did everything they were supposed to up front, they received a fast pass and had reserved seating right up front, right in the midst of the action. We had 365 registrants here in the midst of this teacher shortage. 312 actually walked through the door that Saturday morning. 79 of them were from out of state, and you can see they came from everywhere. I'd like to highlight New Jersey because we hired a special education teacher from New Jersey. She'd heard about our schools, wanted them for her family, and wanted to teach here and become part of our family. Feel the action. Students from Oak Point Elementary School, Parker Hollister, music educator, SRO. Students from Nursery Road Elementary School under the direction of Lisa Brooks, performing an interactive activity with our audience, getting them all warmed up and helping them get rid of those jitters. Oak Point brought the thunder, the students from Nursery Road brought the rain. And our very own Dr. Melton brought the lightning. Our participants had an opportunity to see what we were about, to feel the energy, to see our students firsthand, to hear from Dr. Melton. The whole event was built on Dr. Melton's vision. It was easy to arrive at our theme because we just wanted to show people what it feels like to be a part of D5. One of our teachers, Kristen Mello, nailed it when she posted this on #TeachinFive. Working in School District 5 is like working with family. We all support each other, praise each other, and collaborate together to do what's best for our kids. We talked about signing athletes this year. We signed teachers. You can see a couple of our sign pictures here. We got top graduates in science and mathematics. We have entered into agreements with those superhero teachers who will be beginning their first year of teaching right here in District 5. And you can see many of our family members, including our students, who made this happen, right down to our coffee station that was hosted by our very own Project Search students. In the words of one of our new hires, when she saw that we value our students, that our special education students take a center place on stage, she knew that there was no choice other than District 5. Another first-year teacher, top of his class, math educator, looked at me. He said, "I'm nervous, Dr. Jakes. I didn't expect a contract, but after what I heard Dr. Melton say, let's do it." And he signed on the dotted line. So we're so excited to be part of the District 5 family. We're so excited to welcome new family members. Thank you for everything you do to allow us to love to teach in 5.
Thank you, Dr. Jakes. It was a tremendous day without a doubt. And you indeed did embrace your inner superhero, as did your entire team. I don't know if there's any questions, Mr. Gant, but we'll pause for those. Ms. Hutchison?
Well, this is not a question, but I just want to congratulate the whole Human Resources team and Dr. Melton and her staff and the students. Michael Cates and I both attended and watched. I said I wanted to be a fly on the wall and watch all the excitement, and it truly was. And I can see why people wanted to sign on the dotted line while they were still there, because it was very exciting, very inclusive. The children who performed in that rain dance was amazing. To the involvement for everyone. That was really a great idea. And also the Project Search students, they were just amazing. I had one of the students search me out and take me to the coffee bar and explain everything to me. And so I just cannot say enough good things, and I'm delighted that we had such good turnout, and I think it speaks volumes about the professionalism of all of you. So thank you so much.
Ms. Hutchison, we actually had a principal said to Dr. Jakes and me before the day ended, "I want to sign something. Let me sign something." We said, "You already signed under contract." But they were just that excited. But hats off to Dr. Jakes and the team that included technology, transportation, safety, security. Everyone had a piece of the pie and did a fantastic job. Thank you, Dr. Jakes.
Thank you.
Next up this evening, Mr. Giuliano has a report for us regarding our choice update. Mr. Giuliano.
Thank you, Dr. Melton. Just a few statistics for you I wanted to share about our Choice of Magnet programs. The application window closed on February 4th, so our staff has been busy processing all the applications. We had 2,639 applications, 2,639 applications for 1,693 students. So 1,693 students. Today, our notifications were sent to families, and families have until the 18th of February to accept. So that's the acceptance window, accept their choice, and then from that, after that point, then we'll have some more data that we can pull at that point. But at this moment, a very successful season, very pleased with the number of applications and the number of students and the choices for our families. Thank you, Dr. Melton.
Thank you, Mr. G. Mr. Gann, I'm not sure there's any questions, but if not,
I wanted to, if you could tell us how these numbers compare to last year.
The numbers are similar to last year. So, for example, the number of students last year, we had 1,821. So about 128 less this year for students-wise. Applications-wise, last year were 2,760, so slightly less this year as well. Some of the data that we try to import, some of the changes that are making, sometimes families apply when they already belong to that school, so sometimes those numbers are skewed a little bit, but we're trying to clean up that data and make it much more clean this year. So we should be able to do that soon.
So just to make sure that we understand, so if a student has already chosen and been, decided they're going to X school, say the Irma Fine Arts Magnet, then they don't have to apply again the following year. Is that correct?
That's correct. If they apply for a magnet and get accepted into a magnet, they do not need to reapply as long as they're at that school.
Okay.
Our choice process for schools that school of choice is slightly different, where they would have to reapply if it's not their zone school. But for our magnet programs, that's correct. They do not have to reapply. And sometimes families do. They just want to make sure they're in that school.
Right. So that means then the number of students who are interested in choice are really much higher because the ones who are already placed didn't have to reapply this year.
That's correct, yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Lovelace,
Julia?
Yes.
Am I on there?
make sure that green light's on.
Yeah. Yes, Mr. Giuliano,
Yes.
the way I read this is about 1,000 students that didn't get the choice that they wanted. Is that correct?
That's not the way the data was set up. The
Okay.
applications, so for example, if a student applies and has two choices, maybe they choose two schools, that counts as two applications.
Okay.
So the number of applications could be multiple selections, but thanks for clarifying that.
Well, anyway, that's for the uninitiated like I am, but for a student that didn't get selected to their choices, okay, is there I guess a meeting with the parents and so they could sit down and say that there's another avenue that they could take to reach maybe a goal that would be almost as good as the choice that they wanted?
So typically our percentage of acceptance is pretty high. It's usually everybody gets one of their top choices, either their first choice or second choice. We don't have those numbers yet. So they do receive a letter that they were not accepted. But at the same time, a lot of times other families decide that they did not want their first choice, so they may decline, and then we look to try to invite the next people in line. So a lot of times our families do end up getting their choices. Sometimes they have to wait a little bit beyond the window simply because some families move away or decide to stay at their home school last minute. So a lot of times our families do end up getting that choice that they were looking for.
So in other words, if you were awarded your second choice and they decided they didn't want that choice, then that would throw it back open to the public at large.
That's correct.
Okay, in particular though, focusing in on this, if you had, do you have a list of the people that didn't accept either of their choices after the 18th? Would that be a possibility?
After the 18th, we will have a list of who accepted and who declined. And then anytime someone declines, then we'll go to the next in line.
Okay, well, very good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Hammond.
I was gonna ask, does the number of applicants per school vary with the size of the school? You know, they're different magnets and we have different size, enrollment at different schools. And I wondered how do we set the cutoff for the number of applicants that you accept at one particular school?
So certain schools have actual cutoff. For example, Spring Hill High School 9th graders, the cutoff's at 300 because that's the cutoff for that particular school. Other schools, it's based upon availability of seats per grade level, so we can kind of look to see how many seats may be available per grade level at some of our other schools.
So it could possibly vary from year to year, depending on the kids that are already there.
Yes, correct, year to year, except for Spring Hill High School 9th grade. That's cutoff's always at 300 is our set cutoff.
Mr. Gant, that concludes the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Dr. Melton. That brings us to our item number 12, which is public participation.